And we're live. Yay! Okay, so hello everybody. I know that we have a couple people watching already, and I think there might be a couple more who just aren't logged into their Google accounts, so we can't see them because they told me they'd be watching. So anyway, hi, I'm Brittany, and I'm not going to be the only one speaking today, but I don't think you guys can see the other person waiting in the wings just yet, because I haven't clicked on his face yet. But we are going to be discussing staying motivated today. Yay! And I know that there is not a comment section on Google Hangouts because, I don't know, maybe there is and we just haven't figured out how to use it yet. But I did open up the Q&A option. So if you guys have questions while we're talking, feel free to use that. And yep, that's about it. So hold on, I'm going to switch camera views. Say hello.
Hello. Good evening, everyone, because I'm on the other side of the world and it's late at night here.
Beautiful introduction, as always. It's 8 in the morning for me, so, you know, your other side of the world crap doesn't apply here. Okay, so, yeah, oh, hold on. I'm getting blinked at. Nope, okay. Sorry, my laptop likes to freak out. It gets overloaded very, very easily. So anyway, if you do not have a Google account, I don't think you can use the Q&A section. And we have some people that view this from their phones. And for some reason, the Q&A doesn't like to work on there either. So you can just post a comment on Twitter. Yeah, that's how we had to do it last time. We got a lot of questions that way last time. So if the Q&A is not working for you, feel free to submit a question that way, and we will still answer it because both of us are on top of our phones. So if you ask a question, chances are we will notice. So that's a good thing. Yay! I am way too awake this morning. Okay. So staying motivated. Honestly, the biggest thing that I have to say about this is going to make some people really upset. So, heads up, the big secret that I have is if you can't motivate yourself, you probably shouldn't be writing. I'm sorry. I know motivation is hard. It is really hard, and sometimes I suck at it too. But there are no deep secrets to motivation. Like, I can't tell you a trick that it's like, oh, now my book is instantly written. Thank you so much. I'll make sure to acknowledge you at the end. Like, there isn't a big secret like that. There's nothing I can tell you that is going to make it 10 times easier. I mean, there are things that you can do that will poke the process along a little bit, probably. But there isn't like this one thing that if you start doing it, it will instantly be super easy, because that's not what writing is. Writing is hard, and it's going to be a struggle, and there are going to be days where you plop down like 8,000 words in one sitting, and then there are going to be days where you don't even do 8 words in one sitting. And a lot of writers like to say, write every day, which is really good advice. But I don't think there's a single writer out there that actually does that. It's a good thing to try, but there are some days where you're just not going to feel like writing. And if you force yourself to write too many times when you are really not in the mood, I mean, I don't mean just like a little reluctant, like, I'm kind of tired. But I mean, if you're having a super bad day and you force yourself to write, you're going to get kind of resentful about that, and you're not going to want to write anymore. And that's not what you want to do to yourself, because this is supposed to be something you love doing and hate doing at the same time. So, yeah. But I do have some tips on how to make it a little bit easier, but you do need to keep in mind your biggest motivator is yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, well, you need to start because you are your biggest fan and you always will be. So if you think that you're garbage, just cut it out. Take some lipstick or something. If you don't have lipstick, take a Post-it or a piece of paper. You're a writer. I know you have a piece of paper. And write, "You are awesome," and like tape it to your bathroom mirror or above your desk or something. You know, just remind yourself, hey, I'm awesome. It's important. So as for the little tips that I have to sort of help you keep on chugging, sorry. Caffeine. Caffeine is the writer's helper. And I know you guys probably aren't surprised to hear this because I don't know a single writer who does not have some sort of addiction to caffeine, whether it's coffee or tea or soda or energy drinks. Some sort of caffeine is going into your body, and that's what's making writing a lot easier. So yeah, inhale caffeine like it's a drug, just all the caffeine all the time. And that should help. If you're not a caffeine fan, just go Hemingway style like I like to do. Get as drunk as humanly possible and like word vomit your first draft out there, and it won't make sense. And there'll probably be a couple of unicorns in there, but that's what editing's for. Don't worry about that shit. That's fine. And I'm sorry, I keep vibrating and like not in the way you're thinking. Thank you. Okay. So that's my first tip. Lots of caffeine. And yeah, caffeine all the time, always. All right, now that you're back in your seat, do you have a first tip to share with the class?
I guess I do. My main one has been yeah, like Brittany mentioned, there's no magic bullet, there's no secret pill, unfortunately, because otherwise we'd all be taking it. It's one of the reasons why there are lots of books that don't get finished and don't get written. I've found mostly just trying to push myself into habits. Establish yourself. You need to establish yourself a habit, and then it works. Yeah, that's pretty much how that's pretty much what I do. I get into just a habit, just that regular, and it's not. You see it a lot. The whole writers have to write every day, and no, basically, you don't have to write every day to be a writer, but you do have to write. I find that just having times that are yours where it's like, this is when I write, and do it. And if you do it for long enough, it just becomes a thing, and you'll actually start feeling bad, and you'll start to notice it if you're not writing at those times, if something else happens. That's how I do it mostly.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Making it a habit is important. And a lot of people, their excuse is, well, I don't have time. And there are a lot of famous writers out there who have been doing other things while they're writing. You know, not everybody, I would actually say most writers cannot afford to quit their job and become a full-time writer and just hope something happens. That's, you know, if you're not in that situation, good, because I'm not either. And if you were, I would be very jealous of you. But personally, I have 2 kids. I have a full-time job, and then I have another job that's becoming a second full-time job. And I'm a Girl Scout leader of 2 troops. Plus I have my writing, plus I have a whole bunch of other random internet crap, like I've got a website which I haven't touched in months. And I'm doing these webcasts twice a week now, and it's just, I'm busy, and I'm not complaining. I'm just telling you so that you understand I have other things going on too. So if you're super busy, don't let that make you feel bad. You know, even if you can only fit 15 minutes a day, you know, those 15 minutes that you would normally spend sitting in your bed reading or watching the news or watching reality TV, you know, you should cut that out anyway. Or if you would normally spend it on YouTube or Twitter or whatever, just get a chunk, even if it's less than an hour, and write something. It doesn't have to be good. It's probably not going to be good. It's probably going to be garbage, especially if it's your first draft. But once you have the words out there, then you have something to work with. And that's what's really important. You need to have a base. If you're just like, oh, well, I've got a book written, it's all up here. Nobody's going to fucking read it, ever. I should stop swearing. But anyway, you need to just get it out there. Just spew it all over everybody. So yeah,
Word
habits.
vomit is good.
Yes, word vomit is great. In addition to caffeine, the next thing that I wrote down on my handy dandy little listy-do is foods that enhance brain power. Now, I did not look these up, but you can Google like brain foods or whatever. There are certain things that you can eat that help you think better, and a lot of people don't bother doing that, which is fine. Like, you can just stuff your face with Twinkies, I don't care. But they do help. When I was still in school, I would eat things that were like supposed to help with memory and crap because I have a really bad memory for things that matter. I remember things that don't matter. And so useless trivia, and then there's like things I should remember for school way off in the distance, not in my head. But they do help, and there are tips like, I think if you chew gum or something, it helps you focus. And I don't know, just like Google study tips, because even though you're not studying, it can help you, especially if you're like researching for your book or just need to really focus when you're writing and you have a lot of distracting stuff going on, whether it's background noise like children or construction or traffic or whatever. And okay. So my next tip is having a good support system. Now, if you're watching this, chances are you're on Twitter because that's the only place I've been advertising this. And Twitter has an amazing support system of writers. And there's a lot of daily tags, like there's the Am Writing tag, and then there's like Metaphor Monday, 2-Bit Tuesday, One Line Wednesday, 3-Word Thursday, Fiction Friday, you know, like all sorts of awesome things that we participate in and we like and favorite and retweet and share, and we're like, wow, that's awesome and you should keep writing and stuff. But sometimes that's not really enough. Sometimes it's not enough to say, well, I should probably write more than 1 or 2 lines. And sometimes it's more fun to just go through and read them instead of writing your own, and then you're just like favoriting them all, which is cool because you're supporting other people. But if you need to support yourself, it's not great. So you can definitely make friends on Twitter. I've made several really good friends on Twitter, and people that I can't like imagine my life without anymore. And that's great, but you should also have people that are there who know that you need a motivational boost. Last year, during NaNoWriMo in November, I became the wake-up call for several people. Not really sure still how I inherited that job, but every morning I was tagging like 10 to 20 people and saying things like, get your butt out of bed, it's time to write, like put those words down on that page and don't move until you do. And we did 5K Mondays where we would try to write 5,000 words on Mondays and just 5K a day and all this stuff. It was really great. We were all pushing each other. I got more done in that month than I have in any month since or before. And it was really great. But it also ended as soon as November was over. I think it actually sort of died around Thanksgiving, which is like a week before November's over. Um, but yeah, it was really good, and then it died. And NaNoWriMo is over. Now they're doing the camp version, of course, but that's not as big, as popular. It's not completely dominating Twitter like the one in November does. So you should really try to find yourself at least one person, preferably more, who you know is going to push your limits all the time and not just during that month. And these can be people online, people in person. In person tends to be better because you can't lie to them. If they come up and say, hey, show me what you wrote, and you're sitting there in front of a blank screen, you're just like, crap. But if they're online, you can like just copy and paste something you wrote a month ago and be like, look at my word count. I'm so great. And you're like, wow, good job. Because they assume that you're being honest and not a dirty, rotten liar. So, yeah, guilty. I've done it. So, yeah. Don't laugh at me. It's so rude. Do you have any other tips to add? I think I have a couple more, but
Okay. I was going to mention just before, you were talking about coffee, and obviously tea for people who don't drink coffee, but apples. If you don't drink coffee or you don't drink it, apples wake you up. So,
really?
It's science. It's science, people. They do actually. It's something. It's something that I actually tested a while ago now. It's like eating an apple on the way to work instead of like taking a takeaway portable thing of coffee on the bus with me, basically. And yeah, it works. And it is because they're like really sweet. They've got a lot of sugar in them, but you don't get the same kind of sugar crash as, you know, if you're scarfing chocolate or whatever. Not that that's an awful thing at all, but yeah, apples are good. And yeah, obviously there's this sciencey thing for today. Knowledge, people, knowledge.
The more you know. That's really interesting, and it's awesome because I love apples, and I didn't know that. So now I do. Thanks. Awesome.
You're most welcome.
What else did I have? Okay, I wrote down get somebody who will yell at you, because that motivates me, and I think it motivates other people too, because I don't know if everybody watching has seen this show, but there's this show that is still, I think, fairly popular here. It's called The Biggest Loser, and it's basically like a weight loss show where a bunch of people who are like really overweight go to this like special place where there's like workout equipment and stuff, and they're basically cut off from the world until they get voted off. But for the first few weeks, I think it is, nobody could get voted off, so they're just all working out all the time. And when the show first started, there was one trainer who was really nice and one who was a heinous bitch. Like, she would be right here screaming at your face, telling you need to get moving and stop being a lazy you-know-whatsy. Of course, she didn't say any bad words, but it worked. You know, the people who were getting yelled at were doing really good because they didn't want her to yell at them anymore. So, I mean, that also kind of relates to the NaNoWriMo thing that I was talking about. When I was yelling at people and saying, get out of bed, go right, you know, I was hounding people. There was one person in particular, Gracie, who I would tag her several times a day and be like, what's your word count? What is it now? I'm beating you. What are you doing? Are you writing? And it may have seemed like bullying to other people, but she asked me to, and she really enjoyed it. And she has actually told me since then that she misses it and she needs it and she hasn't been writing as much since. So get somebody who will yell at you if you are incapable of yelling at yourself. If you need somebody who will, latch onto your back and scream at you until you accomplish things, I volunteer as tribute. So just let me know and I will start yelling at you until you get results.
Is this where I add the counterpoint to you being a terrible person and just
Okay, listen. I may be a terrible person, but I am a terrible person who gets results. So there.
It's yeah. It's like all other pieces of writing advice. You need to find the stuff that works for you. That's really the crux of everything. There's a lot of advice, including this right now. There's a lot of different things that get said. There's a lot of different advice, and there's a lot of people out there saying, "This is the way I do it, and this is how I wrote my best-selling novel." It's like a buffet. You just you check it all out, and then you find the stuff that works for you. You're talking about NaNoWriMo. I'll let you take a moment to laugh at my pronunciation because I'm the exotic animal in the zoo. And not this last one, not this last year, the year before. It was during that year that I kind of made my decision to actually take this writing thing really seriously and try and actually do something with it. And it was, I actually found out about NaNoWriMo, I think the day before it started, just randomly on Twitter. Somebody that I was following mentioned it. I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. And I decided to do it. And I fell incredibly short of the, the 50,000. Is that the goal? Yeah. 50,000. I feel incredibly short of that, but I count it as a win because I went into it going, I don't know if I can write 50,000, but I'm going to do this as a way to just get myself into the habit of and actually thinking about it and sort of doing it. And it did help a lot. That was probably my sort of kickstart. There was that. And another one that can seem counterproductive a little bit because it sucks up your time. There are a lot of writers' hashtag games on Twitter. One of the ones that the one that I first found was One Line Wednesday. You do. How many do you do? Let's track. There's a lot.
Yeah.
I keep losing track of how many you run.
I do 3.
That's 3. That's 3. But getting involved in those is really good. It's also a really good sidetrack, kind of a good way to hone your writing as well, because you've only got 140 characters, and take away the amount of characters the hashtag takes up. Like, that's your line that you're submitting to these kind of games. It's a small amount of space. But getting involved in those, I found for me, was helpful as well, because even if I wasn't writing for taking part in those, I was scouring through my manuscript and finding lines and things. It meant I was thinking about my writing and my stories a lot more than I had been before. And that was really helpful. That helped me as well. It's sort of into that process of, I guess, partly just feeling like I was actually a writer. He's actually... Can you hear him in the background?
Oh yeah, yeah. There's.
He's actually singing. just really loudly from the other end of the house in his bedroom.
It sounds like he's screaming in pain. Like, come save me!
No, he's singing. That's happy noise.
Okay,
Trust me, you know if it was not.
super. Okay, so that's all I had like prepared to say. So if anybody has any questions about staying motivated, about writing in general, about anything, I don't know, ask me any questions. I don't care. Ask me my favorite color and I will happily tell you. But yeah, so feel free to utilize the Q&A feature.
We have a critical question. Just get my good reading voice on. You've talked about negative reinforcement. Have you tried accountability groups like Right Chain or positive reinforcement? It's kind of where I was going before. And I guess you covered a little just talking about having that support group and other people. Writers groups are a fantastic resource. I'm not familiar with Right Chain myself, but I'll be taking notes and checking that out at some point. And that's the other thing is if you're the kind of, I'm just kind of going to go there. If you're the kind of person that being yelled at doesn't help. Finding a group or someone to basically be a cheerleader, you know, that's that's the other side of the coin, I guess, is that if you can find someone who just encourages you and it's like, yeah, go you, do it, yes, that's excellent, kind of, you know, that. And on the other side, positive reinforcement rather than scaring you into doing it, and that, I've found that a little bit. I have a couple of critique partners that I speak to, and a beta reader who's quite supportive, and I find that helpful because I go through, as it does everybody that I know who writes, you go through those periods where you're like, oh crap, why am I bothering? Is there any point even doing this anyway? And those are the kinds of people that you can turn to and who will kind of go, no, this is worth doing. Keep it up. Yeah, go you, that kind of thing. So yes, absolutely there are. It's like I mentioned before about the buffet. It's, you know, you find what actually motivates you, and that's I don't know, it's a little bit personal journey-ish, but work out what it is that helps you when you're not feeling motivated, and find the group or people that will do that for you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I mentioned getting yelled at because it seems to work for people. But sometimes you don't want to get yelled at. You know, I wasn't saying, hey, this is the only way to go about things. Get screamed at all the time. I mean, that's why I mentioned the writing community on Twitter, because it's all like support, support, support. Sometimes you will get messages that are really awful. I actually got one this morning, but you know, just brush them off and just be like, hey, you know what? Fuck you. I really need to stop swearing on the webcasts. I'm sorry. But, you know, just ignore them. And if you can't, then find somebody that you like and complain, because whining makes you feel better. That's why kids do it all the time. And people might think less of you for doing it, but you got to find somebody who won't and just whine to them until you feel better. So.
Absolutely. having someone you can whinge to is great.
Yes, exactly. Oh, we have a question from Kirsty. Ooh. Awesome. Okay. What types of goals do you set? Word count, chapter, seed. Which ones do you find are most helpful for discipline/motivation? I set goals all the time. I'm kind of an obsessive goal setter, which is why I kept putting goal setting as an option on the poll, and it hasn't won yet, but it consistently gets votes. So I might make that into a shorter video for the YouTube channel. But anyway, goals are super important, even if they're really small, because if you have nothing that you're working toward, you're not going to get that sense of accomplishment that you would if you achieved a goal. I normally, while writing, will set a word count goal of 1,000 words in a session because I want to do something that I know that I can do, that I've done several times before. But if you're somebody who doesn't usually write 1,000 words, maybe it could be less, maybe it could be 500, or even less than that, or maybe I'm going to finish this chapter, or I'm going to finish this scene, or I'm going to finish this monologue from this specific character. You know, whatever works for you. The ones that I find most helpful for me for being disciplined and really staying motivated are ones that I have to reach for, but are still attainable, which I feel like is the most important thing about goal setting, is you want something that's going to stretch you, but not kill you. So for example, writing 1,000 words comes pretty easily to me, but writing 3,000, that's a stretch. I know I can do it. It might be a little bit of a chore depending on what sort of area in the book I'm in, but I know I can do it if I push myself there. So those are the types of goals that I find to be most helpful. And my co-host has stepped away from his computer, so in the meantime, if you guys have any other questions, I will answer those, but I will leave that one up so that he can answer that when he gets back. So I literally have nothing else to talk about without a question. So I'm sorry if I'm just sitting here in silence. We've actually been doing really good with the whole no gaping silences thing, which I'm pretty impressed, because usually during the webcast there are times when I'm just like, or I'm like scrolling through my phone trying to find questions or people to join. Excuse me. Oh, he's back. Okay. It is your turn to answer this question. I already answered with what types of goals I set and which ones I find help me stay disciplined and motivated. So now it's on you to answer the same question, and go.
Go. Okay. Help if I turn my mic on. Good job. Technical professional here. What kind of goals do I set? Mostly I tend to just pluck a word. I pluck a word count goal out of the air to start with. Usually, it's a random. Let's be honest, it's pretty much a random number. I just sort of once I've started writing it, I'll get a feel for how long a piece it'll be. And day to day, I generally work on time And rather than actual word counts, I kind of give myself the, there's daily when I'm actually sitting down to write. Usually it's scene or chapter based. I'll be like, I'm going to cover at least this scene. I'm going to cover this chapter, and that's the little milestones I give myself along the right way, rather than a word count, because sometimes you can not write a lot, but it's a really important bit of the story, and sometimes you can write heaps and it's kind of, a lot of it's just fluff. So, but at the same time, I do get excited about, like, if I have a massive word count for a day, I still get excited, don't get me wrong. But I find for myself, and as far as motivational, while it's the scenes and points in the story that kind of keep me going, I guess, because I have to, because when I start getting distracted or bored, or I will go, no, I have to this point before I finish. Another basic motivational tool that have started using, I actually found an app called, what's it called? Writometer, which keeps track of word counts and things. But one of the things it has is like a 25-minute timer that comes up with a timer on the front of your phone, and you can't look at anything else for 25 minutes without actually going out of it, and it flashes up a little, are you really sure you want to stop, kind of message. And so doing it in those kind of 25-minute chunks actually is really helpful, because I do things like not look at Twitter and get easily distracted. And that's, I think that's about me for the moment.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of apps like that. You can get them on your tablet too, where they like won't let you access the internet or anything for a specific amount of time, which would drive me bananas, but it would make me more productive, or it would make me throw my tablet out the window, one or the other. So next question. In terms of staying motivated / disciplined, how do you compensate for the days when something interrupts or prevents your writing time? I don't, to be honest. I mean, I get interrupted a lot. There are a lot of days where I can't write or just don't because I'm lazy, as I've said before. So when something happens or I just don't get it done, I don't feel the need to add those missed words or that missed time to another day, because honestly, if I did that and just sort of stacked them and had it like, you know, I missed an hour here, so I need to do 2 hours tomorrow, it would get crazy. I mean, I would rack up 20 hours that I didn't do, and it would just make me feel bad and make me want to write less, and it would be awful. I guess the only thing that I do is when I do have the extra time and I can put in more time than usual to write, I do. And I think that does kind of make up for time that I don't get around to it. For example, I don't work my regular full-time job on weekends, but I normally teach paint classes on days when I don't have any classes, and if it's a weekend that I don't have my kids, I have days full of nothingness, except for Saturday mornings, of course, with you guys. But, you know, those are hours and hours and hours that I can spend writing or poking around on Twitter and YouTube and getting nothing done. That's what usually happens. But sometimes I get writing done. So I don't really compensate, I guess, is my answer. I just do what I can, and I accept it as the best that I can do. What about you?
Very similar, actually. I think the biggest the biggest thing I can say in there, which is kind of something I've taken from elsewhere, not actually from writing, but just from my therapist, basically, from life, is forgive yourself. Like, if you don't make a writing goal, or you don't write, or you know, don't spend too much time telling yourself you're a terrible, horrible, awful person. Just kind of have that, okay, I didn't do it, but I'll do it next time. I'll do the next, I won't miss the next one, etc. Not the worse you talk to yourself about it, the worse you feel about it, and the less and I find that for myself, the more I beat myself up about it, the less I feel like doing it the next time. So I tend to just have that. It's like make yourself accountable without being awful to yourself, I guess. And then that way I tend to find doing it that way, that in my next chunk of time that I've allocated for I'm going to sit down and write, I will actually sit down and write and go, no, I missed it before. As far as making up and compensating, like Brittany, I have children. I have 3 children of varying, pardon me, of varying ages. I get interrupted a lot. To be perfectly honest, I don't get many periods of time where I actually get a large stretch of uninterrupted writing time. And for myself, I've learned to work in like 10-15 minute chunks of time, and that way you can. That way you tend to, I guess, that way an interruption will be less issue. Like if you get interrupted for 5 minutes, you can come back and it's, you can lose trains of thought and things like that. But you adapt, I guess. At least I have. And I guess the other thing that I do as far as compensation and making up for lost time is that every now and then I will just do an all-night writing binge. And I will just sit up and start at about 11 p.m. midnight and write till 4 or 5 in the morning. And those are usually incredibly productive periods of time. Like those, I get into the zone, as they say. Those are usually nights where I just happen to feel particularly fired and I've got this stuff coming at me and I just take advantage of it and go with it. Usually I pay for it a bit the next day, obviously. It helps if those happen on like Friday or Saturday nights when it's a weekend and not so much to do the next day. But I guess, and that's one of those profit and loss kind of statements you do against it. I've worked out that I can live with doing that occasionally, and with the occasional day where I've basically not slept. I don't think I could do it like all the time. But mostly in terms of that general thing we were talking about before about habits and things, I mostly write late at night because that's like after all my kids are asleep, and in any given day, that's usually the time that I have that's most likely, not guaranteed, to be uninterrupted for a while. And the other one is like, Brittany was talking about before, and she has weekends with her. When you have sort of bonus time that happens that you hadn't necessarily planned for, try and get some writing in. There's no magic bullets, but it's the constancy of just always. I guess what I've found is always being on the lookout for times that you can get a bit of writing done, and not being too picky about your surroundings. Like I have a thing about, I've got like a perfect storm of, where everything's set up and I'm on my own and I can have the right music and everything going to write, but also getting yourself accustomed to writing not in the perfect situation where there's noise around or stuff happening. It was, I read it a while ago, I'm pretty sure it was Steinbeck talking about rather than sitting in a study somewhere away from everything, he used to do his writing at the kitchen table with the family around, because that way he got used to having distractions, and he thought it made him a more productive writer. And you know, he did okay, I guess.
Just okay.
I don't know how much more I have to add to that one.
All right. Well, that's fine. That's the only one that was up right now, but we might get more in a minute or 10. Who knows? What is this? Sorry, my phone's going off. I'm so bad at paying attention.
Do we have any Twitter questions coming through?
Not at the moment. No. Gracie's just being grouchy because she's not here. That is not my fault. Okay. She could still. She says that she's coughing up a lung, but she's still on Twitter, so I think she could.
Priorities.
Yes, I think that she could sit and watch this. I think she thought I was asking her to be on camera, which I wasn't. I mean, she totally could be, but
yeah.
But
anyone can. We take guests. We're not picky. Anyone can jump in if they really want to.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you think
question too.
that discipline might actually be better than looking for motivation? The continuous practice leading to deeper growth. You guys are giving great answers, by the way. Why, thank you. I'm here always. Come find me. Do you think that discipline might actually be better than looking for motivation? Yes and no, because I feel like they're kind of the same thing. If you're motivating yourself, that means that you're well disciplined. So I think that disciplining yourself into a habit of writing, which we've already discussed, is a great thing. But I think sometimes it's still going to be hard. So if you have somewhere that you can go for a little bit of motivation, then that would be good. But basically, I think they're kind of the same thing. You can be motivated and not be disciplined, but if you're well disciplined, that's kind of your own motivation. So if you've got one, you kind of have the other, as long as you're going that way. If you have zero discipline and need like oodles of motivation, you need to change what you're doing. Like straight up, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You got to cut it out. You need to at least discipline yourself a little bit, or you're going to accomplish literally nothing, and nobody's going to know who you are or ever read anything you write, and you're going to be just a big pile of failure. And you don't want that, so don't do it. Just write. Just do it. Just do it. That's it. That's my answer. Just do it.
Yeah, discipline and motivation kind of, they go hand in hand. They work together. Discipline can, I think, discipline makes you think to do it, and motivation is what gets you there to actually sit down and do it. Because you can think about writing all the time and still not actually write anything. It can be applied to absolutely anything that you're trying to do. You can think about it a lot without actually doing it. And I believe they kind of work. They work in tandem. It's a combination thing. I don't believe either one is better than the other, I guess. And I think it's that phrase in that question, continuous practice, that is what goes there. And they go hand in hand. But definitely continuous practice, that's the biggest thing. We're always practicing. Nobody knows what they're doing.
That's true.
I certainly don't. And that's, yeah, it's that constancy, I believe, is more than anything else, is what gets you to the finish line. It's that just being able to, but absolutely, like, it's, I guess there are times when the motivation might be lacking, and the discipline is what gets you to actually sit down and write, and vice versa. You can have days where the discipline's lacking, but you're feeling really motivated, so you kind of do it anyway. Short answer, I don't believe either one of those is better than the other. They work together.
Yay.
And silence.
That was a good question.
It was a good question. Well done.
I know, we're getting some really awesome questions today. And if you guys have suggestions for the poll for Wednesday's webcast, I would love to hear them, because there are a couple topics, like I've said, that are continuously getting votes but continuously not winning. So I may make a couple of those into short videos, maybe. But if you have something that you really want to see up here, then let me know and I'll add it to the poll. And if it doesn't win, then I'll add it to the next poll too. What was it today? The creating races and languages almost won for today. It was in the lead for quite a while. And there were also quite a few votes for self-publishing versus traditional publishing. So both of those did pretty well. And so did beta readers. So if you have a topic that you haven't seen in a poll yet, or if you've never seen a poll and you don't know what has been up there yet, and you just have something that you want us to talk about, please let us know, because if you don't tell me, I'm not going to know and I'm not going to talk about it, and then you'll be sad, and then I'll be sad because you're sad, and it'll just be a circle of sadness, which is great fuel for writing, but it's still sad, so don't do that. And yeah, do we have any other questions by any chance? Do we have any Twitter questions? Have you been checking?
Yeah, I have. I haven't seen anything.
I haven't either.
I can check again. Wow, that went quickly. And, I just saw the time.
Yeah, it's been under an hour.
We've almost filled an hour. It hasn't felt like that.
I know, and we've actually been talking for most of it, which is new for us.
I'll have so much less silence and fluffing around to edit out for this one.
Yes.
Oh. We have a new question.
Oh.
Yeah. Apparently, I can't pull the question up that we're answering, so you'll have to do that.
I got you.
You're in the control room tonight. Do you think reading books that teach craft or provide various methods for writing are helpful for motivation? Absolutely. Absolutely. Anywhere you can find not just books, blogs, there are so many different places that you can find writing advice, craft. Words go here. And they talk about different methods of writing, absolutely, because one of the things that, even if they're not talking about how to motivate yourself, when you find out about different techniques and things you can do in your writing, it can just excite you. You know, you can read about something and go, wow, that's an awesome idea. I can't wait to try that out. And so, yeah, absolutely, because if you're getting fresh ideas and things about even just stuff to try, even if you try it and you kind of go, really wasn't for me. You got excited in the first place and you went, I'm going to go and write so I can try that out. So, yes, absolutely. Definitely worth it. And it's something that I personally find enjoyable, and I do a lot, is just talking to people and reading some techniques and methods and things to do that you can apply in your writing, because I usually will then go, hey, that's a cool idea and I want to try it out. So it makes me more interested.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I think that books that talk about writing are awesome. I was actually, while I was waiting for my turn to answer, I was looking over at my bookshelf because I was trying to see if my copy of On Writing was over there, and it's not. It's probably in a box downstairs. But there is a book. Oh, and this actually relates to the next question, which I'll pull that up so that it makes sense. What are some of your favorite books about the craft of writing? On Writing. It's by Stephen King. I really thoroughly enjoyed it because you get a bit of look into his life as well as some really great tips. And I like Stephen King anyway. For those of you who don't know, I've mentioned this before, but Stephen King lives like 10 minutes away from me. Like, I drive by his house every day to go to work, which sounds kind of creepy and stalkerish. But I swear it's not. Just everybody around here knows where he lives. It's kind of hard to miss, honestly. He's got like a fence with gargoyles on it. Anyway, that's beside the point. I found that book to be really great. I also really like the books on writing by Chuck Wendig. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right, but I think I am. I also follow him on Twitter, and he wrote several books for writers, and they're really easy to get through because each page, especially on like the ebook versions, only has a few words on it. And it just, you fly through them, and he curses in his books and gives like a no-nonsense approach while also making you laugh. And I absolutely love the books by him. I've never actually read any of his novels, which I need to do because I've heard that they're really good. But his books for writers are fantastic. So if you're looking for assistance, those would be the two gentlemen I would point you toward. I honestly haven't read a lot of books about writing, but the ones that I have read I really enjoyed. So yeah, I would say those books are helpful. They're good. You should seek them out if you're having trouble with motivation and discipline. And yeah, what are some of your favorite books for that?
This is going to sound awful. I've heard a lot about the Stephen King one. I've not actually read it. I'm quite a fan of Chuck Wendig's blog, Terrible Minds. He talks he talks a chunk about writing there, and also you think you had issues pronouncing Wendig. Ksenia Ansk. She's Russian. I follow her on Twitter. Ksenia. I don't know how to pronounce it. Her blog and just generally following her on Twitter I've been following her for years. Actually, I've been following her since before I really started taking myself seriously, try to take this whole writing thing seriously, because she was entertaining as well. That's probably been my two biggest sources of sort of the craft of writing, I guess. Yeah. That and just reading lots. And I talk to a lot of people. That's my sort of, I guess I find for myself that rather than reading a lot about writing, I find having conversations with people and just finding out how they do it and things they use is, I guess I absorb it better I tend to absorb things better talking to people rather than reading, I guess. And
You
there
just
are
made me
so
think
many
of
writers
another
out
tip.
that you can talk to.
That's true. You just made me think of another tip for motivation. This is not going to work for everybody, and I know that, but it works for me. If you need to be motivated, read something. And I don't mean a book on writing. I mean a book. Like a real, somebody published this because it has a story inside book. Because one of two things will happen if you're anything like myself. Here's the first possibility. You hate the book. It's poorly written. You don't like anything about it. You don't like the writing style. You don't like the subject. And it just makes you want to gouge your eyeballs out with a dull spoon. If that happens, you're going to think to yourself, man, I could do so much better. So I'm going to go do better right now and bless the world with my genius. Option number 2, the book is amazing. You love it. You want to recommend it to everybody because it's just so great. And you could never hope to duplicate it because the voice, the style, it's just, oh, the angels are singing to you while you're reading this book because it's just so great. If that happens, if you're like me, you're going to be like, man, I wish I could write like that. I'm going to go try. So either way, when I read a book, my first reaction after getting over whichever of the two things happens is I want to go right now. Like I just finished a book yesterday. It was really good. And it also made me really upset because the ending was not what I wanted. But it was still really good. And I still recommended it to people and was like, you need to read this. But once I got over my book hangover, which took a couple hours, then I was like, man, I really want to write too. Like this really makes me want to write things. So reading books for me is a big motivator. I don't really get the same reaction when I read blog posts or magazines or articles online in general. For some reason, it only happens when I read books. But yeah, for me, that really helps. And please don't ask which books give me the first reaction that make me want to gouge my eyes out with a dull spoon, because I don't generally like speaking poorly about other writers because they tried really hard to put that out there. And even if I don't like it, somebody probably does. But there will be books that you just don't like, and they might be popular or they might be books that nobody's ever heard of, but it's going to happen. You're not going to enjoy everything that you read. So, which means not everybody's going to enjoy your books either, and that's okay. So yeah, that's my random blurb on that.
Yeah, I second that. It's probably one of the bits of stuff that gets talked about with writing. It's like if you want to be a good writer, you have to be a good reader, and it's true. Like if you, and I'm the same. I will, I don't critically analyze, but I absorb it, and it's either you either see stuff that you hate, and you're like, well, I'm going to look out for, and you will. If there's stuff that annoys you, or you're reading a book, or that you don't like, I find that it tends to be stuff that you'll start to be more aware of in your own writing. And you're like, oh, I'm doing that thing that annoyed me in that book that I was reading, so I'm going to fix that. Or you have that, or if you're because I've actually had this happen before, and you see something and like, that's actually kind of annoying, and you're like, oh, that's something that I've been doing, so I'm going to stop doing that. Those are if you read a book that kind of inspires you, like, wow, this is amazing, and you kind of you see the stuff that they do and go, well, I'm going to try that because I really, really want to, and and that's a large part of how I believe how all writers sort of learn. That's where you start, like, because you read books when you're a kid. I've yet to meet a writer who was like, oh, I didn't really read much as a kid. I've yet to meet a writer who is not a reader, and that's, you know, that's where you do kind of absorb by osmosis and of reading so much stuff, and you know, it all blends together in that little thing in your head, and you put it back out on the page. That's my hot take.
I'm going to agree. Guys, here's a free piece of advice for you. If you ever meet somebody who claims that they are a writer and tries to give you advice or tell you that your book is crap or your work in progress needs help or theirs is so much better, and then they follow up with something like, I don't really like to read, or books just aren't my thing, or yeah, I've never been much of a reader, you should probably turn and walk away because they are stupid and you don't need to associate with that kind of idiocy. Okay? That's your pro tip for today. That is a free piece of advice. Just walk away. Because if they don't read and they're writing a book, it's going to be terrible and you should not be anywhere near it. Like, not even with a 10-foot pole. Just walk away. Walk away. Save your sanity. Walk away. That's it.
Thank you for the earworm.
Yeah. Yep.
I have a Craig David song in my head now. Never mind.
I think we're done. We don't have any other questions, unless one of you are holding on to a question and just not telling us, which would be really mean, by the way. So could you not?
Totally mean.
I think we're done.
Well, I think we're done. Let's call
I think
it.
so. It's been an hour. We're good.
We've met our contractual obligation to everybody.
Right. So yeah, we will be back up, and Ayla said, I'm sorry I missed you guys today. I'm dying. Well, you probably shouldn't be online if you're dying. Pick up the phone, 911. You know, let us know how that turns out for you. I assume she means that she's sick. I'm sick too, which is why I sound like a frog and look like garbage today. Like, I keep getting re-sick. Like, I get rid of it, and then I don't know if it's my clients or my children. Somebody is guilty for repeatedly getting me ill. So I'm like constantly stuffed up. So just, you know what? Deal with your sickness, okay? I'm dealing with mine. So suck it up, Buttercup. I'm the worst. I'm the worst friend. So, yeah. Anyway, we have nothing else to talk about. You look adorable with your pigtails. Well, thank you, Ayla. I feel like Pippi Longstocking. I got a complaint from somebody who's not here, so, you know, did me a fat lot of good. But I got a complaint from somebody that my hair is always in a messy bun and they couldn't see it. I don't know why they care, but here it is. It's still not down, but this is as down as it gets without like an hour's worth of effort, which I did not have this morning. I did not even want to get out of bed, which was not entirely my fault, but you know. So, but thank you for the compliment. You're adorable all the time, Ayla. I love you. Okay, well, since you're here, Ayla, do you have any questions about motivation? I mean, we've talked about pretty much every aspect of it, but you missed it. So if you have any questions before we end this, or any questions about anything else, then we'll take them, because otherwise we're done. So, yay, stuff and things. I'm not seeing any more questions.
Oh, there's one.
That's actually a really, really good question. Okay. This doesn't really have to do with self-motivation, but okay. Do you ever have a secondary work in progress that sucks all your motivation from your main work in progress? Yes. Yes, I do. I currently have 6 or 7 works in progress, all in varying states of doneness. I do not have a single one that has a completed first draft, so that lets you know I suck. But I have my primary work in progress, and then I've also gotten like halfway through the sequel to that, even though the first one's not done because I'm an idiot. And then I have the sequel to the sequel, which I have not started yet. I'm smart enough to not do that. Then I have a work in progress that's a collection of short stories which will never see the light of day. And then I have a couple other ones, like I've got a fantasy novel going, and I'm playing around with another novel that's like in second person point of view, which is really messing with my mind. But anyway, absolutely, I will be writing my main work in progress, and then the next day in the shower, or because I do all my best thinking in the shower, I will just have something come to me from above, the writing gods will bless me with an idea, and it's not for my main work in progress. It's for one that I haven't touched in weeks, or it's for a new one. This is why I have so many, because I will get an idea out of nowhere, and I can't let it go. I need to at least put it in my notebook and start it or summarize it or something, because I will forget in the span of about an hour, and then I'll be like, what was that idea I had? It was really good. I remember being excited about it. Don't remember anything about it, and I will never get it back. Guaranteed, it's gone forever. So yeah, that's my answer. Yes, I do have that happen all the time.
Same. I have a side novel that I cheat on my main novel with. It's there, that's probably another one of those. It's probably another one of those topic things that, like when I started talking about mythic story structures last week, dealing with how to deal with shiny new ideas and not forgetting a whole topic area on its own. Yeah, I'm a note taker in that sense. I have a notebook. In fact, it's right here. Look, wait, one of these ones. See, it's got the little elastic thing, just because I like that, and it's just literally full. Oh well. It's full of just random notes, like all of those little. I do my best to have this thing on me as close to permanently as possible. And I just write stuff down, and all of those little ideas that just flicker out of the ether into your head, I just write them in there. That's one of my writer's block tools actually is that quite often I can flick through this and just at some point I'll find something that I forgot that I wrote down, and that'll give me an idea or something to work on. Yeah. So that's, yeah, short answer, absolutely yes. I do have a secondary work in progress that sucks motivation for my main one. And yeah, again, that's probably another whole topic we can cover, is that whole, you know, how to not get too distracted by shiny new ideas and keep on track with the main with the grand work.
Well, now that I can breathe properly again, I suppose I will talk a little bit. You just about killed me when you said that, by the way. I was in tears. That was fantastic. But yeah, that was a good answer. You know, I think every writer probably has more than one idea at the same time, especially if you've been working on your work in progress for more than a week. I mean, focusing on just one thing when you're somebody who's already prone to having ideas and having some sort of creative outlet, chances are another idea is going to come up. Sometimes it'll be an idea that you can work into your current work in progress. Sometimes it's not going to work out that neatly for you, so you just need to deal with it. You know, put on your big girl panties and deal with it and start a notebook. I have a notebook as well. I don't have it next to me. The only thing that I have next to me is my tablet, which says Novelist at Work on it. But yeah, this is what I do all my writing on, is my tablet and not my laptop. Because I'm special. Not really. I just like to pretend. Yeah, do we have any other questions? Oh, okay, so we had a Twitter question. It's not really related to the topic, but asking about joining us on video for our discussions. Absolutely. I would love to have more than just one guest waiting in the wings. That would be really great. And we can definitely switch between multiple video feeds. So if you are willing to be a guest, then let me know before the webcast starts, or even like in the middle one. I won't bother right now because we're ending it, but if you ever want to join in, just let me know and I will send you the link, because it is a different link than the one that I send out to people to watch. And we'll let you in. Absolutely. I think we can have like up to 100 people on here, so don't worry about overloading us.
I thought it was 10, but okay.
No, it says well, I don't know if that means just in like the sidebar thing, but there was something on the Hangouts on air that mentioned 100 people, and I was like, how? Like, you would never hear yourself talk. But anyway, if you want to join, let us know, and you can definitely do that. I don't even care if I don't know who you are, because if you make me mad, I can kick you off the call. So, so there.
We'll do it nicely because we're a benevolent dictatorship.
Yeah, you know, I can be really nice, and then I can just end you. Like, that's how this works. So if we don't have any more questions, again, I think we're done. Maybe, possibly. Are we actually done this time?
I feel like we might be. I'm running a steam. I need a coffee.
Okay, well, you know, since you need coffee so badly, I guess we're done. So, say goodbye.
Bye. See you next time. Thanks for watching.
Bye, guys. See you on Wednesday.